Hello everyone, welcome to another vlog. This is a midway through the week vlog because I found that doing vlogs at the end of the week I forget to talk about a lot of stuff, um, and a lot of cool stuff has happened, and a lot of stuff has happened, a lot of things that I want to share with you guys, and I want to share with you guys in part. So I'm gonna actually have to pull up the list of the things I want to share. Um, I want to share with you guys because I'm a really big fan of transparency, and I want to kind of tell the story of, and there's Izzy. Izzy does have to go for a walk. I want to tell the story of selling tea in China and what it's like, and some of the cool things and some of the tricky things that happen when you're living in China for tea, especially as I am right now, living in the mountainous region. It's a very unique situation, even among tea sellers. So, first thing I have to talk about, a little bit of bad news. I'm gonna start off with a little bit of bad news. Black Friday. So Black Friday deals came in. A lot of people bought for Black Friday. What is this? Why would I think it's anything else? A lot of people bought for Black Friday, which is awesome. And I have to say, going into Black Friday, I was in a bit of a slump. And this happens sometimes where, I'll let you guys see, Izzy drinking some green tea. This happens sometimes where, especially when I've put a lot of work into the website, I've made a lot of changes, I'm doing a lot of tea stuff, I just get a little, like I need a breath, I need a break, a weekend almost. It's only for a few days, but it does get a little bit tiring to sell tea, especially to be, I'm a one-man company, so everything is kind of on me, from the logistics, which I'm not great at, to thinking about how to make things better and what I can do, how to improve, how to do all of that. So every now and then I get a little tired, and I kind of slow down for a few days, take a little break, which is normal and natural and healthy. But unfortunately, this time it happened. It doesn't happen too often. This time it happened, it lined up with Black Friday, almost exactly. It was kind of like in the week leading up to Black Friday. And so, kind of going into Black Friday, and a lot of it, I'll get to that in a second. A lot of it had to do, get to it now, a lot of it had to do with the no shipping fees. I'm still figuring that out. And so that's been on my mind a lot, and just figuring out the math. And so kind of going into Black Friday, I was a little, sorry. I need to walk the dogs. The dogs are a little bit antsy. It's almost time for their big walk and they know it. Going into Black Friday, I was a little bit tired, needed a bit of a break, and so I didn't care much for Black Friday. I didn't, the sales were announced last minute. I almost didn't do sales. Hey! Sorry, they're kind of wrestling behind, so I don't want them to make too much noise. I almost didn't do sales, but I was like, I'm just do a simple sale. Didn't advertise it at all. I think if Gong Fu Ma hadn't reposted my only sales post, announcing the sales, I think a lot of people wouldn't have known. So, hey! Sorry. Leave! 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 Sorry. Good. Sorry. Dogs. Leave. Leave is, when I say leave, they have to walk out of the room. Which is actually nice. For those of you who are dog owners, the command leave is a very, very good one. And it means they have to walk out of the room. And usually they can come right back. Izzy and Johnny are now right back at my feet. But first of all, if they're getting a little too rowdy, it just means, walk away from the situation. Walk away from whatever's happening. Something's happening right now. I don't like it. Just walk away. And they come back and they're calmer, And it also doubles as a good, and then it turns into leave it. They're about to eat something on the floor. They're about to get onto the table, and you say leave or leave it, not only do they not eat the thing, but they walk away from the thing. So leave is a very good command. Easy to teach too. Okay, so yeah, so I'm getting into Black Friday. I wasn't really feeling it, and then once the sales started coming in, that kind of got me into it again. And that's kind of the other funny part, where it is nice. It is. I don't do it for the money, obviously, but you know, when the bank account gets a nice little, you're like, oh, okay, that makes things a little bit more worth it. I can see the payoff a little bit more. So that kind of made me feel better. But I was not prepared. I was not prepared. I started packing up things, and first of all, my printer stopped working. I realized I didn't have any gongdao bays, I didn't have any scales. I was running almost the Chimen Gongfu and the watermelon, the melon aroma Chimen are almost gone. I don't have enough gaiwans. There was just a whole bunch of shit. So I was like, oh my god, I should have prepared for this. I should have prepared for this. So now I know, and we're going to talk about that more in a second. But for very human reasons, black orders are being packed up right now. I got a good eight of them packed up right now. Got about 10 more, maybe. Not too many this year, which is nice. I didn't want too many. But they are going out. They're going out. They're going to be a little bit delayed, and some of them are going to be a little more delayed than others. They're going out. So, speaking of packaging, let me disappear for a second. I'll disappear for 1 minute. All right, I'm back. Don't go anywhere. Speaking of packaging, I like packaging, and I know if this is kind of ironic or kind of silly, because for a long time my packaging has been very, very simple, but there's reasons for that, and we'll talk about those reasons in a second. But we'll talk about those reasons right now. Basically, packaging was hard to do when the orders were very inconsistent, when I would have a really, really busy 2 weeks and then like nothing for a month or two. Or if I didn't really know what teas were going to move or whatever. But as orders are increasing, which I'm super thankful for, basically, and you see this around Swedish Stew a lot, the more orders increase, the more I can actually focus on Swedish Stew, and the more I can actually do more with Swedish Stew. I can put more resources toward new teas, teaware, packaging. Whereas before there wasn't as much coming in, and so I had to be much more careful with getting nicer packaging, putting on maybe a riskier tea, which I have to put on the website. But now that more and more orders are coming in consistently, a few every week, not a lot compared to some of the others out there. And I see some of the other posts that tea makers post, and they have their boxes on boxes of their Black Friday shipments. I'm not there by any means, but that's fine. We'll get there, and we get there by adding more. So packages increasing, starting with this. So a couple of things. First thing is a new sticker, and it's a little bit shiny. But before I had kind of that white block sticker, and then I switched it out for this kind of round. That's simple. The sticker is simple, no biggie. What's nicer is this. This is nice. I like this. So I've had these white little single serving packets before, and I've used them every now and then. But recently, I gotta seal this one up again. Recently I've started, so for those of you who got the $20, if you get a $20 mystery box, you get 2 or 3 of these. And each of these has 2 servings of a tea. So this is 2 servings of the 2020 tea cake herb shop aroma. 2020 tea cake, the herb shop aroma. And it's nice. It's small, it's compact, it's easy. You can keep it in here. You can separate them. It doesn't take up too much space, and it's nice and stable. So really safe for shipping. Ships very nicely. I can put smaller boxes now, and it looks nice. And I am looking into more shipping stuff, into more packaging. I am looking into more packaging. And I was at a packaging store the other day, and I was thinking about it. And I like good packaging, and I like good packaging because it just says, excuse my French, I give a shit about this thing that I've packaged up. This tea, this wine, this whatever it's been packaged. I give a shit. I'm not just doing it quickly. I, as the person selling it, I am the person. I give a shit about it, and I want it to be presented nicely. And I do give a shit about my teas. And so I am gonna start playing. I'm gonna start playing with some cool packaging. Once again, this is a tricky thing because packaging in China gets really, really fancy, but then it also gets expensive and it also gets pretty bulky. And you might have a box this big for this much tea, and the box is pretty, but that just doesn't make sense, especially when you're shipping. That's more for the gift giving. But there are whole shops dedicated toward packaging only. So slowly, very, very slowly, next few years, I think, I want to find that mix between really nice packaging, but also, what's the word I'm looking for? It makes sense. It's easy. It's I'm blanking on a word here. My God. Like, it makes no sense to have this much tea among super beautiful packaging. Like, it looks nice, but that's just too much. Blanking on a word. Begins with a C, I think. It's going to come to me later. Anyway, so that's that. That's coming soon. On a final note, Zheng He. So recently, you guys saw that I did a talk with Gus from Lakes and Lakes Tea. That was a great talk. Gus is really cool. He really knows a lot. We really highly recommended on the YouTube. I'm slowly putting out clips. That's another thing, social media. I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to make a little more fun, trendy videos. Gotta play the game. But we were talking about teas, and even as I was kind of preparing for the conversation, because we had done a call before and we talked about some of the things we planned to talk about on the live, I started looking into Zheng He. And Zheng He, as I knew it before, was like lower quality white teas. The white teas weren't as good, and Fuding had better white teas. But then as I started looking into it, I started getting interested because, Fuding really only started focusing on white tea around 2009. We talk about the history of white tea. Zheng He has a much, much longer history. Much, much longer. And I don't know anything about it. But it's very clear that white tea comes from Zheng He. White tea as we know it now seems to come from Zheng He. And the history seems longer. The varietals seem a little more complex. They use Shui Xian, they use heirloom varietals. And so I want to start getting into Zheng He teas. This is going to obviously take a little bit of planning, a little bit of traveling, and that's always kind of tricky. I mean, Zheng He is not too far, but we'll see. So that's something that hopefully in the future I can do. Once again, that is not in the immediate future. Probably, we'll see. Next few months, I'll take a trip out to Zheng He. Going into these tea regions blind is tricky. So Gus talked about it a little bit. And I know other makers, other tea sellers, they often will go into a tea region on the recommendation of someone. They go in somebody's like, hey, I know this Yensha maker. They've never this tea seller's never been to Wuishan, and they're like, hey, I know this Yensha maker. You should go to get this Yensha, and they're like, dope. Um, and that's cool. That's cool. I have yet to have that, and I can ask around for see if some of my Fuding people know some Zheng He people. Um, and the main someone might actually now I think about it, but it's tricky. But chances are I'm gonna have to go in there blind, and that's a little bit tricky. That's not tricky. Well, it is tricky. It's time consuming, and because you have to, obviously you go into the main city. I assume there's a Zheng He city, and I assume the Zheng He city is gonna have a tea street. Taste through that, and then I'll kind of see if I can get to some of the more smaller villages. But I have to learn what are those smaller villages. I think there's one village called Zheng He, and that seems to be where a major source for white tea in the history of white tea. And then I have to go there, but will I find something? And you go like, how big is the village? Because if it's too small, you're not going to find anything in the off season. I found that when I went to Wuyang. I think it's called Wuyang. Yeah, it should be called Wuyang. Wuyangshan. Really a top tier white tea producing village within Fuding, considered one of the best. But I went there in the off season, and they're just like, we don't have any tea left. It's sold out. And they have factories, but in the off season, everyone lives in the big city. So you go to the big city, you go to Jungle, you go to Fuding City, and then you have to find the places there, and you have to sort through. This tea's no good. These shops no good. This shop's no good. Oh, this shop is good. That's it. It's a thing. It's a process. It's a process, and this is why I live in the regions, so I can really focus on that process. Yeah. So that's that. So that's what I like to do. But I am curious. I'm curious in Zheng He. I'm curious about Zheng He teas. They use different varietals. They use Fu'an Dabai, which is Hua Cha San, China tea number 3. Oh, and there's a 4. There's China tea number 4. I think there's a Zheng He Dabai? No, that'd be too easy. But they have their own Dabai. They have a history of making Shuexian white tea, which I've had before. Actually, when I lived in Jianyang is technically Zheng He, but Jianyang is so close to Wuishan that and Wuishan is a much more profitable tea making. Yensha is more profitable, so the Jianyang people tend to align a little bit more with Wuishan, a little more Yensha, and they try to make that connection and not so much the Zheng He connection. But I have had a white tea. And it was pretty good. It's pretty good. So we'll see. So we'll see about the Zheng He's. I'm not sure, but Dingo Dafang, pretty good. So we'll see. But I am interested in Zheng He's. River and Lakes Tea has some Zheng He's, and I haven't tasted them, but I assume they're good. I just have to assume. You don't have the knowledge he has and then sell bad tea. It just doesn't line up. It doesn't. You know nothing and you sell bad tea, or you know a lot and you sell the good tea. So yeah. So that's that. All right. I wanted to just that's that for today. I wanted to do a midweek vlog, mostly to give updates on shipping and Black Friday deals, because I know shipping is not easy, and I know shipping is. I know my tracking orders are slow with shipping, and I've talked to some other people. And I've been like, hey, and I talked to another company. I don't really want to say who. I talked to another company who uses the same shipper as me. And they get their orders, they get their shipments, they get their tracking numbers in like 5 days. And I was like, well, I get mine in like 3 weeks sometimes, 3 or 4 weeks. And so I think in the future, I'm going to start bothering her a little bit more. She is very busy. The shipping company is very busy right now. I think Christmas time and all that. A lot of people are shipping to America. They're very busy right now. Orders do seem to be coming in, actually. I've checked some orders. Orders do seem to be coming in, but they are busy. So shipping, tracking numbers have slowed down. But also, there's a lot of new customers, and you guys are asking me for tracking numbers, and I'm tired of telling you I don't know. So yeah, in the future I will have more tracking numbers. I do need a shave. I'm looking at myself here. I do need a shave. It's bothering me. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. It's Wednesday here, Wednesday the 3rd, and we'll see. We'll see what the rest of this week brings. All right. Appreciate all of you. Talk to you later. Bye. Oh, final note. I do like doing sales. In the future, I will do more sales. I'm not sure on what, but I will do kind of sporadic. January, let's do a sale. Maybe a monthly sale. I kind of like that. We're gonna play with it. We'll see.